Hey everyone, welcome to another episode on Hash It Out by Foundership. My name is Bimlesh Gundurao and I'm the co-founder at Foundership. We are a leading Web3 global accelerator for early stage startups, enabling with coaching, capital, and community. So if you're an early stage startup, which is in pre-seed and seed stage companies, check us out at foundershiphq.com. We have some amazing programs to help you get started off the ground and build in the right direction with the right structure so that Web3 is not just a fancy, but a Web3 startup can really grow and sustain itself over long periods of time. So I'm super excited to have one of our coaches, backers, and well-wishers, and one of our proud entrepreneurs from India who now lives in Germany, Vijay, who is a co-founder at BitsCrunch. Thank you, Vijay. Thanks for joining in today.
Thanks for having me, Bimlesh. It's been a pleasure being in Hash It Out podcast, which you guys are doing for the last few months. And I'm glad to be part of the foundership journey, being a backer, being a mentor, coach, or however you can call me. I'm one of the early movers into the foundership network and happy with the progress and happy to talk about my experience and a lot of other topics in this podcast.
Fantastic. Wonderful. So without a further ado, Vijay, talk to us a little about your background, where you come from, what experiences you had before you became a first-time founder with BitsCrunch. That'll be amazing context to set for our audience.
Yeah, so myself, Vijay Praveen, originally from Tirunelveli, which is a small town in Tamil Nadu. But then I moved to Germany in 2013. So it's been a little more than a decade of life for me in Germany. But even though I live in Germany, I am always in close contact with people from India. I mean, that's how I found yourself, Santosh, and Pranav from Foundership team. And yeah, came here for my masters. I did my masters in electrical engineering and information technology in Munich. And then I worked for companies like Volkswagen, Siemens, two big German OGs in the Web2 space before I founded BitsCrunch amidst pandemic. So in 2021, when all the doors were shut, when we were sitting idle in front of the computer for 24 hours, that is when I wanted to build BitsCrunch because that is when we got more time to look into other avenues. So yeah, that's my first entrepreneurial gig. Glad that it is going well. I wouldn't call it a success yet, but then definitely on a scale of 0 to 10 we have now moved towards 4 and probably 5 now at this point in time. But then every day is a new learning, right, for an entrepreneur.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
looking forward to the challenges that are coming up in the next few years.
Fantastic. So with your extensive time that you have spent post your masters in the Web2 space, what were those key moments that got you interested on Web3, and what was that hook that got you deep into that? And what did you think about how you could leverage your knowledge and skills to solve what problem of Web3?
Mhm. So always wanted to try entrepreneurial gig when I was out of TU Munich, Technical University of Munich, which was where I graduated my masters. So, uh, but timing is another thing, right? I mean, you in the meantime, I got married. Now I have a small child. She just turned 2 years old. So all
Oh,
these
fantastic.
factors were pulling me from all directions. But then when this famous $69 million NFT got sold, people were looking at Beeple, the famous 5,000 days of Beeple, I believe. That was the NFT that
Right.
got sold. But then I looked into who bought it. So it was Meta Cohen, who was none other than a guy from Chennai. So Vignesh Sundaresan was the guy. So when a guy invests heavily on an NFT, which was mimicked as a modern JPEG back then, it was
Right.
trolled as a JPEG, and that was when I seriously looked into the space. So we sort of assembled a small team. I wouldn't call it a team. It was more like a friend circle exploring NFTs, and then all the common connection between all of us was data. So and blockchain data is obviously open source, so you can see what's happening on chain. You can explore what it is. But then on the other hand, reading blockchain data is difficult. It's highly difficult for a layman. It's not clearly visible to a layman, right? So that's when we started digging into it. We started building alpha, beta, and we went for hackathons, participated in those, lost many, won a few, and then that's how the momentum was built. And then we got in touch with angels, VCs. Glad that we were able to get a couple of VCs in the seed round itself. And yeah, so things are pretty much stable at this point in time. After 2 years of journey, we now have VCs like Coinbase Ventures, Animoca Brands, Polygon, Chainlink, Crypto.com, Gate Labs, and Hashkey Capital backing us, which tells you what we are building in this space. But yeah, overall, it has been a surreal journey.
Fantastic, fantastic. So you started off in trying to use data analytics as a problem statement to solve for end users who would like to have authenticity and insights about an NFT before they make a purchase. Is that a right way to put it?
Yes.
On
So
on
initially,
the problem start, yeah, on the problem statement that you attempted to solve.
yes. So we want to bring trust and transparency into the NFT space, right? I mean, many artists jumped into this NFT scene. Many traders, many collectors, even brands. Look at the number of brands that are stepping into NFTs: Nike, Reebok, Adidas, Gucci, Tiffany and Co. Even Porsche launched their NFT collection, and then Amazon is rumored to launch its own NFT marketplace, right? And then Reddit. Uh, what is the other one? Starbucks. So it's not just the artists and collectors, but then the brands stepped into NFTs because they
Right.
realized creating an exclusive community is well and truly possible with NFTs. And also onboarding millions of people onto NFTs is relatively easier with NFTs than DeFi. Right? I mean, nothing against DeFi here. We all have grown from Bitcoin to DeFi to where we are now. But then with NFTs, people can easily relate because we used to keep collecting these cards when we were children, right? We used to buy these boomers and chewing gums that gives us cards, and then WWE cards. So people can relate to these. That was also easy for brands to bring a narrative to people, to bring exclusive community. So yeah, I mean, definitely the space has grown from zero to, let's say, a handsome level at this point in time. And to make it even more compelling, we want to bring more trust and transparency by using AI with the amount of data that we have at the back end. Because now, Vijay or Bimlesh, we invest onto NFTs either because of FOMO or because of a referral. Let's say, I would say,
Right.
yeah, Santosh bought this NFT, he asked me to buy. So I just put in my money. I mean, most of the investments work this way, right? If somebody tells you to buy gold, we buy gold.
Yeah.
If somebody tells you to buy an apartment, we start looking for an opportunity. So most of the investments go by referrals, and now it is happening that way. But since the space is too early, there are a lot of scammers who are trying to exploit people who are not aware of what is blockchain, what is NFTs. And that is an
Right.
angle that we want to stop. We want to bring more trust and transparency to Bimlesh and Vijay's of this world to consciously decide where to invest, what to invest, and uh, how to not get scammed. So yeah, that's the problem statement that we would like to address, and then I believe we are on the right track already.
Fantastic, fantastic. So in the initial days, this was a classic B2C type of a product, right? So talk to us about, when you started off, it was obviously a bull market. NFTs were in a kind of range in your very early days. Talk to us a little bit about what were some of the techniques did you use to find your early users, either for both feedback or even to build out your product, to try out your product, and eventually start consuming, the insights that you were providing.
Mhm. So remember, we started in the bull market. We started to build in the bull. So since it's a data analytics and forensics firm, we had to crawl. We had to grab a lot of data from the blockchain. So just to give you a stat, we now are live, or we now have data across four blockchains: Ethereum, Polygon, Binance Chain, and Avalanche. Right. So
Okay.
across these four chains, we have data of 70 million NFTs. I mean, I need to check the data. It must be 80 or 85 now, and that is across 25,000 collections. So to get all these and to clean up the data is what most of the time is being spent. If you go and ask any data scientist, any data professional, they spend half of their time getting the data, cleaning up the data. That is where the hard
Correct.
yards are done. So
Right.
once we got the product out, there was when the market was badly hit. But then we didn't bog down, because we are like an infrastructure layer that is required for anybody in this space, like you and me, or marketplaces, lending protocols. They need to know what's happening. Venture capitalists, they need to look at the dashboards before buying something. Financial institutions, so for instance, we worked with Mastercard in the past. We are a graduate of Mastercard start program. So all these things were going in a good direction, and we used startup program as well. We introduced a startup program through which we onboarded 46 startups to use our product, to give initial feedback, and then we optimized the product. We reduced the flaws, we reduced the downtime, and now we have some of the blue chip customers like JapRadar, one of the go-to names in the industry. They are using our price estimation tool from NFTs. So they hit like 2 to 3 million API calls per month right now, and they are likely to get more as we progress.
Fantastic. Cool. So, as part of your initial growth journey, what were some of your lessons that you learned as a team in terms of user acquisition, in terms of product building, that might help some of our early founders who are listening
Yeah.
to you?
Yeah. So when we started building, we were focused too much on Web3 entities. So we were focusing on marketplaces, lending protocols, and traders and collectors. But then at the end of the day, when we started seeing a lot of brands shipping into this NFT space, that's when we took a step back. So NFTs are not just for Web3. It is a way for brands like Starbucks, Reddit, and Mastercard to also pull people. So why can't we work with these names? And that was when we also started focusing on Web 2 and Web 3. So we wanted to be the
Okay.
interface of Web 2. Let's say, and that's also one of the examples where we worked with Mastercard, right? I mean, right now we are in discussions with one of the big fours, KPMG, and they want to know the money trial of NFTs. Is it legitimate money? Is it wash traded money? Is it money laundered? Right? So we that's why I would also advise founders to work this way. Don't just focus on Web3 as such, because the world has opened up. A lot of blockchain slash cryptocurrency has been accepted widely in some countries, in some financial institutions. BlackRock, they now have a fund on Ethereum and Bitcoin, and Bitcoin has become a legal tender in a couple of countries. So just take a step back and see if there is a real world use case, right? If you can leverage uh, Porsche's NFT collection, because Porsche is has its home in Germany, and I live in Munich, and Adidas headquarters is what, 100 kilometers, 150 kilometers from where I stay. It's in a place called
Right.
Herzogenrath, and they are making so much in revenue through NFTs. So we started taking one step back, and we wanted to cater to the needs of both Web 2 as well as Web 3 world. And that is when we got even more clarity, and now we have a product suite that even brands could come in and grab the data that we have, grab APIs that we have, and that has given us a broader uh, pitch to play.
Fantastic, fantastic. So over the last couple of months, we also saw that you're making now a slight pivot into not only being, you know, a DApp which is used directly by end consumers, but because you're also building an API layer, you're kind of going into that NFT infrastructure where forensics as a service is something that you're enabling it, right? Talk to us a little bit about why this pivot and how did this happen? What was the insights that you saw that you have a bigger market or a bigger TAM to achieve with this pivot?
I mean, bringing trust and transparency cannot be done by a team of 10 or 20 or even a team of 100, 200s, right? So we want to be a decentralized network so that anybody can come and work with us, right? I mean, the example of DAP Radar is straightforward. If you look, if you zoom out, DAP Radar and BitScrunch might look like competitors for the outside world. But then
Hmm.
now DAP Radar is leveraging our APIs, tells you that the power of decentralization, right? So they use our APIs, and we want Nansen, we want Dune, we want chain analysis to use our APIs and build something on top of what we provide. And that is the beauty of decentralization. So you don't need permission from BitScrunch team to build something on top of it. And then if you look at all the other entities that I name dropped, like Nansens or Dunes, most of them are centralized in a way. So you need to go to them. You need to go to, let's say, Nansen or Dapradar, and knock their doors, talk to their BD, talk to their tech team to integrate what they have. But then on the other hand, if we decentralize, anybody can permissionlessly access our APIs, access our tool suite, right? That is the only way we thought bringing more trust and transparency is can be achieved faster, because at the end of the day we want people to not get scammed. And I strongly believe that all the other brands that I mentioned also has the same motto, right? Why is
Right.
Nansen building so many analytics and dashboards? Why are they giving you smart money notifications? And then why is Dune setting up all these dashboards, right? So yes, that is in a way to decentralize things brings people faster and reaches wider network. Anybody from any parts of the world can just connect their wallet and get the data. So that is how simple we want to be in let's say the next 3 to 5 years. And coming from a country like India, and also the color of your background, we would like to be the polygon for the NFT space in the near future, right? I mean, Polygon made us proud, made the entire world proud, because they
Right.
made sure that the transaction cost is not a barrier to step into blockchain. And we would ideally want to do it in the NFT space. So maybe, yeah, now it is 1st of June 2023. Let us circle back in 2025 or 2026. I would want that to happen, and I strongly believe that we have the capabilities to be the north star of NFTs in the near future.
Fantastic. That's a great vision statement to have and to focus to build on that. So
Thanks.
as a first time entrepreneur putting a lot of these things, making achieving these good strides in the last 2 years, what has been your some of your, if you had to reflect back and think through, what have been your some of your key learnings as an entrepreneur, as a first time entrepreneur?
I mean, it's definitely a bumpy road, a challenging path, right? Nobody has ever touched entrepreneurial world in my family, neither in my co-founder's family. So if you look at my background, my dad is a police, my mom is a teacher, and I came to Germany to do my masters, like a typical middle class or upper middle class from India who used to do that. And early days were really tough. I didn't even know some of the startup terms. I mean, now I feel embarrassed not knowing what is runway, what is burn rate at that point in time, because I used to work for Siemens or Volkswagen where I didn't hear those terms, right? All I
Right.
used to do is take up tasks, complete those, get appreciation, get a bonus, get incentives, and then move on to the next ladder, right? But then the startup world was completely different, where you need to have everything at the back of your head right from day one. When an investor asks for what is your burn rate, you just have to answer it right away. You cannot think what do they mean by burn rate, what do they mean by runway, right? So these
Right.
are the terms that were totally different to a person who comes from the non entrepreneurial world. And the initial fundraisers were very difficult, to be honest. Everybody looks at the successful side of Bitscrunch, as we have raised $6.5 million till date. But then, if I have to go back in time, the initial fundraisers were really tough. I failed a couple of times in raising funds. In fact, I was literally trolled or being bashed by one of the venture capitalists in the early days, because such was the case back in days. So no offense to those VCs, but then say,
Yeah.
because we didn't go prepared. And then I spent some time going back and forth, started learning the basics, and then I thought, okay, I'm ready in 3 months. I gave another attempt, failed again. So went back to the drawing board, started preparing again. So as a founder, you have to admit yourself if something goes wrong, right? It is okay to fail. So fail fast and learn fast is what people say. And I also believe in that, because if we hadn't failed a couple of times,
Right.
we would be in a totally different shape. So those failures taught us how to raise funds, how to be more confident, how to uh, focus on the fundamentals. And then that is why you see some of the big names like Coinbase and Animoca and Chainlink backing us, right? When I said that the vision is to be the Polygon of NFTs, I have got Polygon now as an investor. So that is how you close
Right.
investors, you close customers. You have a long vision, long term goal, and then break it down into smaller chunks and achieve it.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Amazing. What will be your, now that you have done two rounds of fundraising, right? For a first-time founder now trying to raise funds in a bear market, what will be your top few suggestions on what they should be preparing for?
I mean, raising in a bear market is obviously tough, I must admit. But then I would advise founders to focus on the fundamentals. So don't just chase money, right? Focus on fundamentals, focus on the narrative, focus on early customers, focus on adoption. Because there are plenty of projects out there who starts building, but then very few reach customers, very few talk to customers, optimize their product. So focus on the fundamentals, and then once you slowly start building the momentum, then raising funds is not so tough. I mean, yesterday I saw a news from Transac, where I have a couple of friends.
Right.
They raised 20 million in Series A, right? So
Yeah.
look at that, 20 million in this bear market for a Series A is really great. Is massive. So and a lot of layer one protocols, a lot of blockchains, or even raising 20, 40 million. Aptos, Sui was raising 45 million, if I'm not wrong.
Right.
So yes, there is always scope to raise funds. So don't fall into the trap of social media or outside world, because that puts you under pressure. If somebody, if some competitor raises money, you will you will obviously feel the heat, right? But don't just look outside, but rather focus on the fundamentals. Have a process, follow that, get early customers, get money, make some MRR and ARR, and then once you talk to the investors, they'll obviously take you to the next level.
Fantastic. Yeah, always user trumps everything else,
Yes.
right? So the moment you
Yep.
have users, the proof of the pudding is there. When you have users flocking either into your community or in using your product, and on
Yep.
top of it, if you're able to retain them through retention mechanisms and reduce your cost of customer acquisition, whether it is Web 2 or Web 3, those fundamentals remain the same.
Yep. Exactly. User first. User first has to be the mentality.
Yeah, fantastic. Talk to us a little bit about how have you structured your team? You're operating out of Germany. How is your team set up? Because in blockchain and in the Web3 space, predominantly it's a globally remote team. So when you are building out your team, when you are building out your startup based in Germany, how did you go about setting up your team and now where your teams are located?
Mhm. So since we have roots from India, obviously we have a big team in India. We have a team of 20 sitting in India. We are a remote team, so we have small offices both in Bangalore as well as in Chennai. But then we we would keep that optional. So we want people to be relaxed where they are sitting and then work for us, because it's a data firm, blockchain firm. So all you need is a stable internet connection and a laptop, right?
Right.
And we are six sitting in Germany, and then four doing the sales and BD, who are sitting in the West. So one
Okay.
person is sitting in Canada, one is in US, and we have a Canadian now living in South Korea doing the BD, and we have one in Belgium. So it's like the heart is sitting in Germany, but then the brain
Right.
uh, sits in India, where we have the production team or the development team. So yeah, we follow the ethics of all the other Web3 entities where we are spread globally, but then we focus on getting things done from wherever
Got
we
it.
are.
Has it been as a founder? Has it been easier being based out of Germany and trying to build this company versus if you were to live in India or live in any other part of the world and build with Scrunch?
Uh, Definitely, this German education or German exposure has helped. I wouldn't lie, and also it brings more credibility, right? I mean, whenever you say Germany, people always think about precision. People always think about the getting things done in a good way and in structured way. So that has definitely helped the masters, be it masters or the work experience that I had from Volkswagen or Siemens. But then in bull market, to be honest, location doesn't matter, because I know people raising from the nook and corner of India to the nook and corner of Africa, be it anywhere, doesn't really matter. But to begin with, yes, it helped a bit.
Fantastic. Cool. Um, Talk to us a little bit of the trends in NFT that are going on. Where do you see the NFTs evolving right now? We have seen how you know and initially a JPEG turned into an NFT, and then more attributes started to give more power to NFT. And now we are also seeing trends where s- NFTs are turning themselves into a wallet with smart contracts built in. So, where do you see, as someone being core in this space, on the future trends of NFTs over the next 2 to 3 years?
I mean, next set of years, I would say the NFT gaming would trump all the others, because gaming can easily onboard millions or even billions of users. Right? What we have seen in the Web2 space with games like Fortnite, Call of Duty, and a lot of other mobile games like PUBG and so on, it can easily onboard people onto Web3. So with every single asset that you see in a game becomes NFT, that becomes really easy for a user, and then it is also capable of spreading the wealth rather than the value getting accumulated to the game developers or the team. It also spreads to players or people like you and me, right?
Right,
And like you said, yes, it started with PFPs, but once we move into a more mature market, we will see a lot of utility based NFTs, Just to quote an example, VCon, the Gary V conference just took place in US, and they sold like in thousands and thousands of tickets using NFTs, like as a proof of attendance, right? So that's something that NFTs will keep getting into. Utilities will evolve, uh, and yeah, looking forward to what all utilities that can be added on top of NFTs.
Got it. Where do you see the path of your vision of building trust and transparency? Well, what's your kind of roadmap, if I were to put it that way, over the next 2 to 3 years?
I mean, we would love to be one of those entities who is also the reason for more and more people flocking into NFT space. Because the moment people realizes, okay, this is a good NFT, this is a bad NFT, this is a malicious activity behind this NFT, then people starts getting more trust in buying into an asset rather than uh, not even knowing anything, but just getting a referral and then buying into something, right? So we want to be that trust layer that people can look up to before making an investment decision. So we want to enable that investment decision on people's mind. So if millions and millions of users flock into NFT space in the next 2 to 3 years, we would like to be one of those reasons behind that as well.
God, God. Cool. Um, you are part of couple of accelerators, right? What if you were to share some insights? A foundership runs an accelerator. You are part of an accelerator.
Mhm.
If a new founder comes to you for advice to say that, hey, how should I choose an accelerator? Is Do they really add value? I'm at this stage in my startup journey. What will be your suggestions or parameters for you to help them to evaluate and explore why they should be part of an accelerator?
Mhm. I mean, accelerators are places where founders can groom themselves early on, especially when they are very early into their journey, right? Because at the beginning, like I said, I failed a couple of times in my fundraising journey. If I would have known some of the basics, if I would have pitched it in front of a closed group of community, I would have done it better. I would have probably got funded on my first attempt or second attempt, right, rather than having to fail twice and then raise third time. And there are a lot of accelerators who just pop up during bear market. Don't get me wrong, that is how the market is, right? People create something in the bear market because there are no uh, not really good deal flows happening, and then the money gets sucked into the market. People lose money, some of the capitals go bankrupt, and that is when people actually set up accelerator programs, and then they keep running it for a while, and then in the bull market they forget what they started. So people
Right.
should start with some accelerators, like for instance foundership, to see where they started, how they operate, and look at the history. And not so many accelerators have a really good solid history, like a community or a structured way. So I would advise founders to put some effort before stepping into something, rather than stepping into something and then feel, okay, I haven't gained anything out of it over the last 3 months or 6 months. So put some effort, dig deeper, and I'm sure there are already a lot of testimonials, a lot of achievements that foundership has unlocked in the last few months.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Praveen. This has been a great conversation. As a last question, parting thoughts. For overall, for as a first-time entrepreneur today, if you had to point out your three as a team and you as an individual, right, as a founder, what are your three core principles that you live by on a daily basis?
Mhm. I mean, first is obviously putting the heads down and focus on building. Right. I mean, we started building in 2021. Now it is mid of 2023, so it's been almost more than 2 years. And focus on the fundamentals. Right. Not just building, but then focus on the core values, core fundamentals, and then don't rush into capital. It will eventually come once you have the fundamentals, once you have a basement, and don't just chase for things. Things will eventually happen if you focus on the solid principles.
Cool. Fantastic. This has been a great conversation, Vijay. Thank you so much for joining in, and it's been wonderful chatting with you, getting a deeper insights on your journey, your transition to becoming a founder for the first time in your family, and hearing the progress of BizCrunch, and wishing you and your team the best of luck and the best wishes for becoming the polygon for NFTs in the ecosystem.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot. It was a pleasure chatting, and yeah, looking forward to become the North Star of NFTs.
Fantastic. So with this, we come to an end of this episode, dear friends. Do If you like this conversation, do like and subscribe to our channel on YouTube and on Spotify and other podcast platform. Follow us. And if you're an early stage builder, do check out foundershiphq.com for our upcoming programs. We have an exclusive Build on Polygon program that's starting in June, and would love to have you be part of our family, our ecosystem, because we are the only accelerator in the world that enables coaching capital and community, and a community of about 5,000 people across 40 cities around the world, right? So you get the power of early validation, feedback, go to market, and every support, because we are a founder first accelerator. So with this, thank you so much for listening and joining in today. See you next time in the next episode with another fantastic founder from the ecosystem. Take care. Bye bye.